Hello and welcome to another retechify.com video. Today I am going to be looking at Xbox 360 controllers. This is my original 360 controller from when I first got the 360. I have used this for many years and never once ever cleaned it, which is probably not surprising, being that it's very rare that these controllers actually get cleaned. You can see, having a look at this, there's a bit of build up and it is in need of a clean. So I mean, it still works. I never had any issues with it, but I thought, have recently acquiring a couple more controllers, I thought I'd do a video on just cleaning and maintaining these controllers. So that was my original and is working fine. This I purchased only recently. So this is a different style of 360 controller, and if you can see, the thumbsticks have discolored, so probably just due to the oils of the skin. Those rubber pads have now discolored. Apart from that, it works fine. And then I've also picked up a third Xbox 360 controller that I've purchased on eBay. This one is a little different, which is in the bag. It was advertised as does not turn on, probably due to rust developing in the battery compartment. So again, battery acid leakage has caused a problem in this one. And also, based on the photos, the thumbsticks have got physical damage. So you can see that there's bits, and there's the bits of the rubber has come apart from the thumbsticks. Having a look at some of these photos of the battery compartment, I can see that there's quite a bit of corrosion on those terminals. So I thought that was well worth investigating, being that yes, I did want a second controller, but even a third controller for multiplayer would come in handy. Having won the auction for a quite hefty sum of $1, plus $9 delivery, I thought that was well worth investigating. And in the same time, I picked up replacement thumbsticks. So that was only a few dollars for a set of 4. In this video, in addition to investigating this controller, I'll be replacing these 2 discolored thumbsticks, and then also taking all the controllers apart and cleaning each of the items, just so that they're much better, because I'm sure that I can see there's grime that has attached itself in the grooves, and that's purely just because of touching the controllers. The other comments with this was, can be used for parts or other Xbox 360 controllers if buttons, covers or thumbsticks require replacement, but as we could see from the photos, it's the buttons may be okay, but certainly the thumbsticks will require replacement. So the next step would be to open it up and see what's inside. There we go. And there we have it. Don't need that. And yes. Wow, okay. I thought my controller was dirty. I think it's time for some gloves. So the button is quite dirty. There's actually grime in the triangle start and select button. Yes, definitely the thumbstick is damaged. Still feels okay though, but yeah, definitely damaged. You can actually see the grime inside the channels. Alright, and as per the listing, let's have a look. Wow, okay. That is quite heavily corroded. So those springs are not happy. So let's compare them to a good set. mess. That is not looking good at all. The next thing to do would be to completely disassemble this, and using the torque bit we'll be able to remove all the screws and get to the actual board itself. I might start with my original, then I'll get to these ones. So I'll put this aside for just a moment and we'll start with this one. Circuit board with the dual rumble motors. So based on this one I can see that the battery terminals are actually soldered directly into the bottom of the board. So this one looks in relatively good condition. Like I said, this is the first time it's ever been opened and I've never had any problems with it. So I might just give that a gentle clean with some IPA. But I'll pop the thumbsticks off because those are still in really good condition. So I'll put those aside for cleaning. And there's no problems with those, so I'll put that aside. And the conductive pads, yeah, a little bit of dirt, so yeah, that could use a clean. Not too bad. And the other thumbstick, and yeah, just general grime. The buttons, yeah, could use a clean, so I'll clean those up. Triggers, again just a general grime, so we'll clean that up. All the buttons, and then the directional pad. So two small Phillips heads there. And then there's two little pressure clips. And there we go. So those can use a clean. Yeah, so all in all, not too bad after over a decade of use. So that will get a clean. And then the rear compartment. Right. Moving on to the next one. To the final controller with the rust damage. Let's take this apart. Oh wow, look at that. filthy. Have a look at the grime embedded into the actual controller. It's gone so far in, it's actually flaking off. I'm so glad I'm using gloves. And it's highly likely that, depending on how badly rusted those metal pieces are, they might actually just break off completely. And thankfully they haven't, but it's not far off. Wow, okay. Okay, so I think for this, as before with the SNES wireless controllers, I'm going to desolder these and put these into a weak vinegar solution and see if I can get that back. I'll zoom in now and get a closer look. So there you can see that those terminals are quite heavily corroded. Okay, so that seemed to be the simplest option, which was just to put pressure on the underside, melt the solder directly without using the wick, and then pull the connector through. And as you can see, it is heavily corroded. So we may end up completely destroying this in the cleaning process. But I guess we'll see what happens. So I'll put this in a weak vinegar solution and hope for the best. Okay, so this is about 24 hours later and we can see the results here. So this terminal is actually looking pretty good at the moment. You can see that there's a lot of the dirt and corrosion that has lifted and is now sitting in the bottom of the tray. Unfortunately, this one is, I believe, too far gone. So I don't think I'll be able to utilize this one back on the controller board. But this one definitely looks pretty good after it's been cleaned. So not only has it survived in terms of the number of looped rings, whereas this one clearly hasn't. Okay, so what I'll do is I will take this out of the tray and clean that off and then apply some sealant onto that, some contact cleaner just to prolong the life of the metal rings, but that should be okay to use again. So I'll dry that off on this bit of towel that I have here. And yes, unfortunately this one is it's a bit too far gone. But what I do have and what I can do is replace it, and what better way is to use an old paper clip. So I've already, using a pair of pliers, I have fashioned a a I guess a suitable replacement out of a spare paper clip, and that should function quite nicely. So the next step will be to put all the controllers back together as they have now completely dried after a thorough cleaning, and then solder in these two components, and then test the controllers. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, so it's time to reassemble. What I'll do is I will reassemble my original controller first, followed by the multicolored controller. Then I will finish by doing the soldering on the broken rusty controller, and then putting that back together as well. This should be interesting, and I'm looking forward to putting it all back together and seeing if these controllers are now functioning and operating much smoother than what they were before. So I'll go ahead and do that now, and I'll fast forward through this process. Alright, time to test the controllers. Excellent, so that appears to be working. And the Xbox is on the other side of the house, so it probably won't sync. But that's okay, we know it's working. It's getting power. And we'll try the other controller. And again, fantastic. So that's working. Alright. Well, that's great, because now these are being cleaned. That's come up really good and everything feels nice. And now this one has replacement thumbsticks. Alright, so the next step will be to reassemble the rusty controller, in addition to adding a new battery terminal out of a paperclip. Okay, so I've just resoldered the right pin back to the circuit board, so that went straight in with a little bit of flux, and just reusing the existing solder, so that's now back in place. After the clean, the condition is still questionable, so I think this will just be a temporary solution, and then maybe down the track I will look at replacing these again. But now I will insert the paperclip, bring it to the right distance, roughly, bend it slightly, and we'll just solder it back in place. Add a little bit of flux. And then just a quick dab with the solder. Alright, so that's now soldered back together. I mean, to be honest, it's a bit of a bodge job, but you know, it's holding, it's there. I'm not overly confident about that, but it's on there, and you know, we'll see if that allows this controller to be working once again. So let's put it back together and give it a test. So the moment of truth. Let's see if it is working. Nice and secure, and it is. Excellent. That's great. There we go. It's now a working controller. So yes, a little bit of a hack, a little bit of a workaround with a paperclip, but hey, if it works, it works. So very happy about that. So thanks very much for watching, and watch out for more videos from me in the future. Cheers.